Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Ranked where I climb the online Regulation D VGC ladder in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet and provide live commentary as I go. In this video, I wanted to try out a team featuring one of the brand new Hisuan Pokemon in Samurott. Now, Samurott's an interesting pick right now. There has been a resurgence of Psychic-type attackers in Pokemon like Indeedee, Armarouge, and Cresselia, and Samurott being part Dark-typing obviously has a really good matchup into those. In addition, you're able to deal large amounts of damage, especially thanks to Samurott's ability, Sharpness, which increases the damage output of slicing moves, such as its signature attack, Ceaseless Edge, which sets up a layer of spikes every time you're able to connect with it. Tornadus is the perfect partner for Samurott as it's able to set up Tailwind Rain Dance for it, and this team also has another Sharpness Pokemon in Choice Scarf Kleavor, which is an incredibly effective sweeper, especially against opposing Tailwind teams. As always, I'll do a quick breakdown of the team, but if you want to just skip to the battles, check out the timestamps down below, and thank you so much as always for joining me. If you enjoy, I'd really appreciate it if you consider leaving a like in the video or subscribing to the channel, really helps out a ton. Anyway, let's dive into things. Breaking things down, as always, rental, pace, and team creator are linked down in the description below, and question of the day, I want to know how you would buff a starter evolution down in the comment section below. The first Pokemon to highlight is Samurott. Now, on paper, Samurott doesn't really look that impressive. None of its space stats really stand out. But it's got a couple of things going for it. First of all, its ability Sharpness is really nice because it increases the damage output of slicing moves by 1.5. That's a really big deal because Samurott uses a ton of different slicing moves. Ceaseless Edge, Aqua Cutter, and Sacred Sword are all slicing moves, so all of those will have their damage multiplied. That suddenly makes the base attack feel so much stronger. In addition, Samurott's got decent base speed. 85 isn't necessarily the highest, but it's not that low either. And it synergizes so nicely with Tailwind from Tornadus. With just 12 speed EVs on this, you can outspeed max speed Dragapult and everything slower than it when you've set up the Tailwind. So Tornadus is really the perfect partner for it. Also, when people fight against Samurott, they often think, oh, I can just use a special attack and KO you if it's super effective. For example, Moonblast from Flutter Mane, Thunderbolt from Regieleki, because Samurott's base special defense is honestly not that great. So, because you don't really need that much speed investment on this Samurott, the rest is distributed in bulk after attack, and with a Fairy Terra and an Assault Vest, you can tank special attacks with so much more ease than your opponents will generally anticipate. That is really nice because the Samurott often will be able to tank these attacks and retaliate back with so much more damage in return. Also, Samurott's Ceaseless Edge is just an awesome attack. Having a strong Dark-type attack that can also set up spikes is incredible, and there are a lot of Pokemon in the format right now that are weak to Dark-type attacks, such as Indeedee, Armarouge, and Cresselia, just to name a couple. So, Tornadus is the perfect partner for Samurott because it can set up Tailwind, it can set up the Rain Dance for it as well, so Torn plus Samurott is one of the go-to leads for this team. You also have Choice Scarf Kleavor with Grass Terra. I had previously featured Rocky Helmet Kleavor, also on a team with Tornadus, but this is Scarf. Scarf is really nice because right now there are a lot of opposing Tailwind teams. For example, the core of Tornadus, Dragonite, Chien Pao, Flutter is actually fairly common, but Kleavor actually has an incredible matchup into all of these Pokemon. Stonex can just get big one-hit knockouts onto a lot of them, and setting up the Stealth Rock is really valuable in breaking through Focus Sashes from Pokemon like Chien Pao as well as Dragonite's Multiscale. So Tornadus Kleavor is very powerful as well. You can often just lead it, set up Tailwind, and just start Stoneaxing immediately. I've also had games where I maybe use Kleavor as a late-game sweeper and close out matches with it. U-turn's also pretty awesome here. You get the same type attack bonus boost, so you can lead like Torn Kleavor and then U-turn out immediately and go out into something else. And Grass Terra Terra Blast here in particular is really nice into water type attackers, especially things like Gastrodon or Urshifu water, for example. To round things out, you've got the classic Chien Pao Dragonite. This duel is just everywhere. It's been on a fair amount of the teams that I've already featured in Regulation D, and this is easily one of the main combinations to beat in the format, and it just makes so much sense on these Tornadus teams. So a lot of Tornadus teams right now will just run this core, and it's something you need to be adequately prepared for. But, of course, Chien Pao is really nice because we're using two physical attackers in Kleavor and Samurott, so being able to further decrease your opponent's defense is really nice, and Dragonite's pretty self-explanatory as well. The one thing to call out here is that it actually has low kick rather than outrage, so that does give you better coverage into steel-type Pokemon, for example, as well as just Pokemon across the board. You obviously have Stomping Tantrum to potentially hit steel types as well, but low kick can just deal massive amounts of damage, especially with that choice ban. Flutter Mane is the final Pokemon on this team, and this is a speed booster energy set. It's got Steel Terror and Substitute, so it's a little bit more defensive than sometimes people would expect from Flutter Mane, which is pretty nice. And Speed Booster is really nice because there are a lot of other Tailwind teams out there. So I think one thing this team does really well is have a nice matchup into a lot of those other fast teams, because you've got Tornadus to set up the Tailwind, but then you have Scarf Kleavor as well as Speed Boosting Energy Flutter Mane. So often if you just match your opponent's Tailwind, these two Pokemon can just outpace your opponent's team, which is a really, really big deal. Steel Terra is just really nice defensively as well, and Substitute allows you to stall out things a little bit easier. For example, Trick Room can be kind of hard for this team to go up against, but you can often set up a sub on turn 1, then protect on turn 2, then your opponent attacks you on turn 3, you sub again, and you just slowly burn those turns of Trick Room away. And at the end of the day, Flutter Mane, of course, is still just a really strong attacker, even without Modest Nature or a, for example, special attack boosting energy. So yeah, overall with this team, a lot of different ways you can play with it. I normally ask myself if I need Tailwind. If so, then I'll lead Tornadus plus Kleavor or Tornadus plus Samurott as kind of the default leads. Obviously, you can just go with Chien Pao plus the Dragonite as a lead duel as well. I think Chien Pao plus like Kleavor, Chien Pao plus Hisuan Samurott certainly work as well. One of the questions I ask myself is how to slot in Flutter Mane, because the thing about Flutter Mane is with this set, like, you're not necessarily going to get big one-hit knockouts. So if I'm bringing it early, I need to have a good reason for it, right? For example, sometimes maybe your opponent has fake out pressure, so you want to lead Flutter Mane plus Chien Pao and just have like the ghost typing of Flutter Mane and then ghost terror of Chien Pao just to get around fake out, for example, and double up into something. That in itself can be really valuable. But like some of the hyper offense teams I had already featured in Regulation D, a lot of this team just relies on huge damage output, and you don't have that much bulk to work with, so keep that in mind as you utilize the team. But Tornadus is normally the starting point, right? I ask myself if I actually need the Tailwind speed boost. A fair amount of the times, the answer is no, because my opponent's team is just like mid-tier speed or slow, so then I eliminate Tornadus. If I feel like I do need Tailwind because like they have really good speed control, especially if they have their own Tornadus, then of course I'll prioritize it and then go from there. But yeah, in terms of Samurott, I think leading it is really effective. I think it's also pretty good in the back. It's just a matter of whether or not you think you'll get a lot of value from leading it immediately, especially if you think setting up that spikes early on can be very beneficial for you from Ceaseless Edge in particular. But I generally try to lead with Samurott if I think my opponent just doesn't have great coverage against Ceaseless Edge or the water type attacks in particular. So that's it for a quick breakdown. Now let's highlight some weaknesses. In terms of weaknesses, there are a couple of things that I want to highlight. The first is just Trick Room. This is a hyper offense team with very little switching and defensive capability, so if you are able to set up Trick Room, you're generally going to have a very good time against this team. Denying Trick Room with this team isn't that easy. You can, of course, lead Tornadus with Taunt, but the problem with that is that a fair amount of Trick Room users run Mental Orb, and so in best of one, if you're playing the guessing game and you just go for Taunt and they do indeed have Mental Orb, the Tornadus not only does nothing, it becomes completely useless because it can't protect, and so this slot is just left super, super exposed. So that's one thing that you have to watch out for. In addition, I've had games where I'll lead something like Flutter Mane and Chien Pao against Fake Out plus Trick Room, something like Iron Hands Cresselia, saying, okay, well, you can, try to fake out Chien Pao, I'll just Ghost Terror and then double up on a Cresselia with Shadow Ball and Ice Spinner for a KO. The problem is that Cresselia is so bulky, it can even survive that combination, so that's a problem. I've also struggled a lot against Iron Hands in particular. I think Iron Hands has a phenomenal matchup into the majority of this team. It hits so many Pokemon for super effective damage, while we can't do that much damage to it in return. I think one other thing to note is that Samurott sometimes struggles against Pokemon that just take neutral damage from its attacks. I think, for example, like Water Urshifu is an interesting one, where Water Urshifu maybe doesn't do very much to Samurott, but Samurott doesn't necessarily do that much to it in return. So, for example, I've had games where I go like Tornadus, Samurott, maybe like Chien Pao Flutter, Chien Pao Kleavor, and then they have like Scarf on Water Urshifu, and it can just put on a lot of pressure. And so I think Samurott can be really good in the right matchups, but sometimes I bring it into opposing Tailwind teams. I just end up being slower than my opponent because they also set up Tailwind, and then Samurott's just not really doing very much damage in return. So that's one other thing that you should consider while using this team as well. And then finally, if you just look at the typing of everything, obviously there's no fairy resistances, and the only way you can really resist is if you Terra the Flutter Mane, for example. And so keep that in mind. Sometimes a well-positioned fairy type attacker can just put out massive amounts of damage against everything. Also, with Samurott, like, I've sometimes run into scenarios where my opponent can just pressure it with big knockouts immediately. I had one practice game where my opponent had Tornadus Brambleghast. They set up Tailwind. Brambleghast had Life Orb, and Power Whip just got a one-hit knockout onto Samurott after getting the attack boost, which was wild. So, Samurott can still be left fairly exposed, especially against strong physical attackers. So keep that in mind. Anyway, that's it for a quick breakdown. Now let's get into these games. Okay, we've got definitely a Trick Room-oriented team here. Cresselia, Ursaluna, Armarouge, Indeedee, as well as Arcanine and Urshifu. So, if you're my opponent and you want to set up Trick Room, you probably just lead Indeedee Armarouge, which is interesting because I could go for... We have Scarf U-turn. I wonder if that's enough to KO. Samurott's also pretty cool here, because I can Ceaseless Edge with it. I wonder if I set up like Stealth Rock and... Yeah, like I'm honestly thinking of Kleavor plus the Samurott. And in the back, Chien Pao. Tornadus is interesting solely in setting up Rain Dance. Terrain being up as a nuisance to Dragonite. We can remove Terrain with an Ice Spinner. I wish we had Outrage here. That'd be really nice. Okay, I'm going to go Dragonite. And the main reason I'm going with Dragonite here is because it has multi-skill. So the combination of Dragonite having multi-skill and Chien Pao with Focus Sash I think is pretty valuable in just making sure we don't get demolished by, say, Ursaluna. But I think the Samurott plus Kleavor lead here is pretty strong. So I'm excited for it. Yep, it's just Indeedee Armarouge. Okay. So... we could just go for Scarf U-turn here. Scarf U-turn and then just Ceaseless Edge. I could also Stone Axe and Ceaseless Edge. U-turning out to get Chien Pao in for free though seems pretty nice. So yeah, I'm down for U-turn here. And then Ceaseless Edge into Armarouge. I think Follow Me Trick Room here certainly makes sense. They're actually going to go for a Terra immediately here. So I would think it's Grass Terra Armarouge. Okay. Yep. So that's good. That means Ursaluna now can't Terra. It also means you're weak to Ice Spinner. You're weak to a bunch of things from my end. So, yep, there's just Follow Me. Okay. Kleavor is going to get the Choice Scarf U-turn off. Close to a knockout, but not quite enough. And it's actually Rock the Helmet on the Indeedee. Okay. So I can bring out Dragonite or Chien Pao. Dragonite's honestly in a pretty decent position offensively next turn, but Chien Pao pressures with Ice Spinner. The main thing is just having this Choice Band Aerial Ace. Actually a pretty interesting decision. Indeedee Armarouge. They could probably just go out into Ursaluna. They had Ursaluna, Crest, Urshifu. Okay, I'm going to do Chien Pao here. Because with Chien Pao now, I just have two Dark-type Pokemon on the field, right? So, Sword of Ruin. Here's Ceaseless Edge. Cool. Rocky Helmet here is a little bit annoying for us, but it's fine. Connects there. Get a layer of spikes up. The Trick Room. Okay, works for me. So, stalling out Trick Room here is going to be a little bit annoying, but the reality in this matchup is we didn't really have super good anti-Trick Room answers. Let's see what comes out. It's actually Arcanine. Okay. Honestly, Samurott's in a really good spot then, I would say. Especially with Assault Vest. Like, honestly, here I think I'm happy to just Protect. And then go for Aqua Cutter into Arcanine. I'm actually even thinking about just going for Ice Spinner here. I'm not sure we need to Protect. Like, my question is, how fast is your Arcanine? I don't think it's going to be faster than me under Trick Room here, quite frankly. So, yeah, I'm down to just Ice Spinner and Aqua Cutter. Okay, Armarouge goes for Heat Wave. That's fine. Survive with Sash. Good. Your Life Orb, that's fine. Yeah, I just get Aqua Cutter. And with the defense drop, that is a one-hit KO. The spikes into Aqua Cutter combo. And now Ice Spinner does so much damage into Armarouge, and it removes the Psychic Terrain. Oh, beautiful. I'm so happy about Samurott's performance here. So I'm curious if Ursaluna is the last one, but that obviously was a really good turn in itself. It indeed is Ursaluna in the back for my opponent. Get some spikes damage. 3 turns of Trick Room left right now. I honestly don't think this KOs us. I guess you could, like, protect Earthquake right now. Like, Samurott should wall this decently unless it has Energy Ball. I've got Kleavor in the back. I haven't Terra'd yet, so late game Terra Blast is pretty strong with it. So is Close Combat at this point. I have Extreme Speed on this as well, so late game E-Speed's looking pretty good. I'm honestly down to just Aqua Cut or Sucker Punch here. Interesting. What is Armarouge going for? Let's not protect. Oh, wow. I really didn't think Facade would just KO me there. Okay. That was clever. They reversed Trick Room. So that makes me actually think Armarouge just straight up doesn't have Protect, because if you had Protect, you would always click Protect over reversing your own Trick Room there. So that was pretty clever, but I honestly think this game is just over. Like, I just have such a huge advantage now, and I can just bring out Kleavor and just Close Combat into Ursaluna, Ice Spinner into Armarouge. Samurott was so good in this game, though, right? Like, knocked out Indeedee, knocked out Arcanine, set up a layer of spikes. So we can just Ice Spinner into you now, and then just Close Combat into you. I think that should just be a double KO here. So Ursaluna protects, that's fine. But yeah, that makes me think it's Armarouge with 3 attacks. Which was, you know, is a good Trick Room reversal. The problem for my opponent, though, is now I just get a knockout onto you. So the Chien Pao with Ice Spinner is so valuable, not only for damage, but also getting rid of Psychic Terrain, because after getting rid of Psychic Terrain, then I can Sucker Punch you. I think the main thing in this game was that the Terra on Armarouge honestly just worked against my opponent, because by going for the Terra, I didn't actually get to a position where I can get a super effective attack onto that slot that turn anyway, right? So by going for the Terra, they kind of just hindered themselves. But yeah, Samurott was awesome in this game, and it's really cool to use the Samurott Kleavor duo as well. So that's why I wanted to prioritize Dragonite and Chien Pao in this matchup. Trick Room can be really tough for this team, but by having, even like having one big turn where you can survive attacks is a really big deal. And then the combination of Samurott and Chien Pao is just really nice, because it just is completely immune to Expanding Force from the Armarouge in particular. So yeah, that played out super well. Even though my opponent set up Trick Room, it was fine. I think it maybe would have been a little bit tougher if... I think what was interesting is they maybe could have just brought out the Ursaluna immediately. Like, I actually really didn't think Facade would KO the Samurott without the burn. Obviously, we had eaten up the... There was the defense drop, right? So, yeah. But I really thought we would survive that turn. So it's a testament to how powerful Ursaluna can be, especially when I'm dropping my own defense there. But otherwise, yeah, the Samurott was just able to put in so much work. And then bringing out Arcanine first made things easier, because we were able to just knock that out in one hit. All right, rank number 14 here for our next game, and they've got Grimmsnarl with some very bulky Pokemon, Sylveon, Goldengo, Landorus, Heatran, and Mungus. So I think the strategy on their end is pretty clear, right? Just set up screens and go from there. I'm thinking about whether or not Tornadus is worth it here, because I think I want to just knock out Grimmsnarl immediately. So I could go with, like, Flutter, for example. It is Steel Terra Flutter, which is actually really good in this matchup as well. trying to mainly think about who to drop in this game. Maybe Kleavor. Flutter. Tornadus could Rain Dance. Like, Rain Dance for Samurott feels pretty good here, but that would be the only reason to bring it. I kind of want to just go full offense. Okay, I'm going to go Flutter, Samurott, Dragonite, Chien Pao here. I actually think maybe leading Chien Pao was better. I'm a little bit worried about the Golden Go matchup in particular. Samurott's really good against that. Flutter Steel Terra is also good. I could have brought Tornadus. The problem with Tornadus is I can't taunt Grimmsnarl because it's Dark type, and so Prankster into Dark type just doesn't work. I think Dragonite plus Flutter is also pretty strong here. They're going to go with Grimm and Sylveon. Okay, so it's not great for my Samurott. But I have a Assault Vest. Do I Terra this? Then I can't Terra Dragonite. But I don't think we're really going to need normal Terra E-Speed in this one anyway. So I kind of want to just Moonblast here, Terra. And on Aqua Cutter Grimm. Yeah. What would have been a better lead into this? Like, Sylveon is just pretty good against our entire team, so I don't mind going for the Terra here defensively, because I don't want to take that much damage from Hyper Voice, and with Fairy Terra, we should be able to take attacks pretty well here. They go for Fake Out. Okay. Well, that means you get no screen up. That's a really interesting Grimmsnarl set, huh? So we flinch. And just Hyper Voice. That felt like Choice Specs damage to me. Golden Go comes out. I'm like fairly sure that's Specs. Golden Go probably outspeeds me here as well, so they can make it rain now. I just wasn't expecting that Fake Out. And honestly, I wasn't expecting Spec Sylveon here either. Maybe I should have. I think I'm just going to Protect here. I do have Stomping on this. I think Aqua Jet was probably better here. I went for Ceaseless Edge in the off chance I actually managed to get it off. No Terra from Golden Go. Oh, we are faster. Oh, that is so nice. Wait, that's such a game changer. I thought Golden Go would have had some speed to outspeed us there. But they're probably just super bulky. But, oh, no. That changes everything, honestly. Especially if it is Spec Sylveon, like I suspect it is. And I hang on with 2 HP. Samurott, you are so clutch. Let's go. That's Landorus as the last one. So, Chien Pao Dragonite's looking pretty good in the end game. Unfortunately, my spikes won't do anything, but that's fine. Flutter is a speed boost. I've already Terra'd. So the question is, what Terra is Landorus? But, like, I think we just launch attacks into Sylveon and then put it in Ice Spin or KO range. Like, I'm down to just Moonblast it here. Aqua Jet Landorus. No Terra. Okay. I'll take that. Pretty good damage. And we get a special attack drop. That's really lucky. Landorus just Rock Slides, which is fine. I'm not sure the special attack drop will actually end up being relevant. We'll see. But yeah, I think the fact that we were faster than Golden Go was such a big interaction here. If I had to guess, like, they were probably... Like, the lack of a Terra on Golden Go that turn was really surprising. Maybe my opponent wasn't expecting to just get one-shot by Samurott, because, like, they're like, oh, Golden Go's pretty bulky, which would be a fair assumption. But this is why I wanted Chien Pao Dragonite to close out the game. Samurott's been so good in both of our games today, though, so I'm very, very happy about its performance. Okay, so we get Pao Knight out. The main thing is, I don't know what Terra this is. I think I'd just lock into Aerial Ace then. Basically, my only fear is if this ends up being like a Ghost Terror on Landorus and I lock into E-Speed. My other fear, though, is they just flinch Dragonite here. Yeah, like I think I'd prefer to just E-Speed and Ice Spin or double up on a Sylveon here. They should Terra this turn. I guess a Steel Terra Sylveon would screw me over here, too. Oh boy, what is it? Okay, it's water. I think Spinner Aerial Ace should still get the KO then. Or sorry, E-Speed Aerial. It's close. I really don't know, actually. Okay, we're good. We're good. Oh, but I have to attack through flinch. Oh no, it's Scarf. Okay. Oh. That was really scary. But we get the KO. Nice. I think we should be good now. This is why I wanted to lock into E-Speed as well. But a flinch there would have won the game. It was really close, right? E-Speed almost just KO'd them outright. So I think here I just E-Speed and then protect this turn, and then E-Speed Sucker Punch next turn. So yeah, my opponent recognizes there's not much they can do. Samurott being faster here was huge. They ended up actually having a lot more offense I expected. Like, I thought it might be Throat Spray Sylveon, but Specs makes so much more sense. I think the key interaction in this game was Samurott getting a free knockout on a Golden Go. It would be very different if Samurott just fainted there. So us being faster was a really big deal. I wasn't really anticipating being faster because this Samurott just has 12 speed EVs. So yeah, their Golden Go obviously super slow as well. But also Grimmsnarl having Fake Out. Like when I saw that team in Team Preview, I was like, oh, you have so much bulk to work with. I thought they would just set up Light Screen and Reflect on turn 1. But instead they got Fake Out and a free Hyper Voice off into Samurott, which obviously was a little bit tricky. But in the end, we were able to weather the storm. Okay, Samurott, you've been clutch for us so far today. Let's see how much more we can take you. I'm up against Hisuan Gudra, which I feel like I still don't really know how to properly play against, but I lost against it in... maybe it was the first Regulation D video that I did. And in that game, I basically learned that I just gave Gudra way too much respect. Now, I have Taunt on Tornadus, so that's really valuable in itself. And Steel Terra, but then I guess I could Body Press Flutter. Basically, it's like, if they lead Grimmsnarl or Gudra, I can't shut down Gudra and both screens simultaneously. What do I want to lead with here is the question. Oh, wait, we have Sacred Sword on you. Wait, that makes a huge difference, actually. You know what? Because of that, I think I am down to just go Flutter, Kleavor, Chien Pao, Samurott. Because Sacred Sword just ignores the defense boosts. I wonder if Samurott should conserve Fairy Terra. Like, probably. If I lead this, they go Grim plus Hisuan Gudra. What do I do on turn 1? It's Hands Grim. Okay. Obviously, you can click Fake Out here. Fake Out Light Screen turn 1 makes a lot of sense. If that's the case, maybe I just admit that I can't deny. They could also just straight up Wild Charge here is the thing. Hands is a pretty big issue for me, so I don't mind clicking Moonblast here. Stone Axe and a Grim. Ooh, they didn't go for Fake Out. I could have doubled up on Grim then. Okay, that looks like Assault Vest hands to me. Stone Axe connects, which is nice. Probably Wild Charge or Heavy Slam then. Oh, they actually went for Drain Punch. Okay. I don't mind that as much, honestly. I guess hands is just a pretty big issue in itself, right? Doubling up onto Grim would have been so nice. I should have done that. I just thought they'd Fake Out for sure. But honestly, a lot of hands don't even carry Fake Out. I feel like now, especially with Swords Dance. Although that was Reg C, not Reg D. Okay, I think I want to Protect here and then Stone Axe into Grim. Because I can't deny them screens at this point, so I think I'm going to try to stall it out through Sub and Protect. Yeah, so they set up Reflect now. Stone Axe connects again, which is good. They just Drain Punch again. Man, that was a free Sub or Moonblast. Nicely done. This is tough. I think Grim, like just all the bulk my opponent has to work with makes things kind of challenging for me. Bring out Samurott. We can go for Sub here. Terra Fairy. Man, a single Aqua Cutter crit would actually be a really big deal. The question is, do I accelerate the pace of the battle and just knock out Grim? Because, like, Grim's actually not doing too much for my opponent right now. It could Spirit Break, though. Okay, I think I'm going to sub Terra. And Cutter into Grim. Yeah, I think I should... Man, if I doubled up on a Grim turn one, then they only would have gotten Light Screen up, and then without Reflect, I'd be in a much better position, I think. But honestly, Hands just is really good into us, and I think by not bringing Dragonite, my matchup is a lot tougher into it. It's just so bulky, right? And I can't, like, knock it out that quickly. Departing Shot. Honestly, I don't mind that. You leave whatever is coming in with the chance of getting crit. Speed Booster probably irrelevant here, so I could switch out Flutter later on. Goodra's now hit the field. Yep. Okay. Get Sub up. There's Aqua Cutter. I can't crit that, actually. Punch. That does so much still. Wow. Ugh. This is not great. Especially with lefties. I honestly want to just switch out into Chien Pao here. Like, Flutter's doing such little damage right now. So I go into Chien Pao and just launch a Sacred Sword into Goodra. I think I've lost too many resources, though. My early game, just turn 1 and turn 2 was pretty subpar, and Kleavor didn't do nearly enough in this game. I think it needed to be Dragonite. Dragonite Flutter lead, maybe. Sacred Sword does do a ton there, at least. Okay, that's good. You know, the fact that Shelter here is super good for us, because that's a complete waste of a move. Because I can just KO with another Sacred Sword. Wild Charge into Flutter. Okay, that's good at least. So this is still doable, I think. If I'm my opponent, I'd probably protect Goodra now. The question is, like, do I think double Sacred Sword even KOs? Because they can just Wild Charge into this now. This is where if I had Terra Blast, that'd be really sweet. Like, I want to Ice Spinner and just Aqua Cutter into Iron Hands here. Expecting Goodra Protect. Oh, wow. Oh, I mean, I hope Goodra's protecting here. Otherwise, this was going to be really tough. For... Oh, actually, no. It's... I didn't Sacred Sword there, so... Wow. What a play by them. That was really risky in my opinion, because I could have just gotten a double knockout there. But it ends up working out. Nicely done. I probably lose now, I think. Unless they're going for Shelter again, or like Life Dew, but it's Heavy Slam. Maybe it's still doable with them clicking Heavy Slam, but yeah. Thought that was a little bit... I could have just played it a little bit safer, but I thought there was a world in which Goodra protects and then Hands just attacks. So I wanted to try to punish that. That was a really nice play. Kudos. With Sub Flutter, maybe there's still a shot because I can get to the point where I stall out their screens, but it's getting really tough. Mimikyu's their last one. That's interesting. Three turns of Light Screen. You can just Shadow Sneak this. The Reflect. Yeah, not doubling up on Grim was my ultimate mistake. I just tunneled too hard into thinking they'd fake out. I guess I just protect Sacred Sword here. Goodra switches too. Nicely done. Okay. If I get a crit onto Hands, maybe this is still doable. I think Kleavor just wasn't the right pick in this game ultimately. It didn't fit the style of this battle. They didn't Shadow Sneak either. Oh, man. Oh, with Trick Room, I'm done for sure, I think. Yeah, really well positioned. Don't really see too much about. They didn't even... Yeah, 3 turns to Reflect. Yeah, I think if I were to replay this, probably go D-Knight Flutter lead, Chien Pao, Hisuan Samurott in the back. I guess I'll go for a double here and then try to go for an Aqua Cutter crit onto Hands. But here's a Terra now from their end. Yep. Grass. Even if I had gotten that one turn against Goodra right, I think it still would have been pretty hard because I think the Hands Mimikyu late game Trick Room mode is just too hard to beat. So I think this was me not necessarily bringing the best Pokemon. I think Dragonite would have been a lot better. Oh, we actually survived Shadow Sneak, so they're probably not that offensive on Mimikyu. So a double Protector actually could have been huge for me. Well, actually not necessarily because they tear it anyway, so Aqua Cutter is just not doing that much. I can't win this 3v1. Yeah, we're doing no damage, basically. This was easily, yeah, like one of the strongest teams, I think, against this team. Because, like, our goal is to blow through with offense. They have so much defense to work with. And then, 2, Trick Room is also kind of hard. So, the combination of that made this really difficult. But Dragonite would have been somewhat of a solution. I think Kleavor definitely wasn't it for this. Kleavor could have worked, I guess, if I just doubled up on a Grim turn 1 with the Moonblast combo. I don't know if that even would have KO'd, honestly. Stone X did like 40%, so I'm not sure Moonblast actually would have finished it off. But Hands, I think they just had a really good lead. Yeah, I think like Dragonite plus Flutter is better. And then Chien Pao, Samurott in the back. I guess I could go Dragonite Chien Pao as well and just try to double up turn 1. Like Ice Spinner, Normal Terra, E-Speed into Grim. Eliminate that. The problem is then I'm locked into E-Speed, and then they could just bring out Mimikyu and set up Trick Room. So, objectively, I think this is just a really tough matchup. Like, they have a lot of bulk to work with. My opponent definitely brought the best 4 Pokemon as well, and they played it super nicely. So, yeah. I think I also tunnel vision maybe a little bit too hard on Goodra alone, and didn't think about, like, the consequences of a late-game Trick Room in that matchup. Okay, we've got Sneasler here, as well as Dragonite and Chien Pao, but there's Colosso, Chiyu, and Regieleki. A lot of interesting things here. I think Dragonite plus Colosso is definitely one thing to watch out for. I'm really curious about Sneasler. I've mainly seen it paired with Rillaboom and Indeedee for Grassy Seed and Psychic Seed to activate on Burden. So I don't really know what it's going to go for here. That's a little bit scary. I feel like a Solvest Samurott here is really good. Kleavor with Stone Axe feels really strong here too, right? I guess I'm worried, like, they could go Dragonite, Colossal, Ground Terra, or Rock Terra, and then just, like, Aqua Jet into the weakness policy. So I think I'm actually going to go Tornadus plus Samurott. And in the back, all of our Pokemon are decent. Flutter with the speed boost is tempting. I'm going to go Flutter Chien Pao, I think. I thought about Kleavor here. I don't know. Stone X is really, really good. I just, like, didn't feel super comfortable leading it because of potential Colossal setups. And if I'm not leading it, I do think it's an effective late game Scarf Stone X sweeper, but I don't know. I didn't feel great about it. It's Chi-Yu and Colossal. So this is probably Lava Plume, right? Which is interesting. Lava Plume. I wonder what Terra this is going to be. I also wonder if this is Focus Sash, because if not, I could totally go for, like, Rain Dance here into Aqua Jet to just try to KO Chi-Yu. It's honestly tempting. Because Colossal's just not very strong if you don't actually get this combo off. And I would think Colossal's going to Terra here. The one problem is if this is Focus Sash Chi-Yu. But out of all the Pokemon on my opponent's team, I think Chi-Yu is... Oh my gosh, they're actually going to Terra it. Oh, but it's Fire Terra. Okay. I was just like, would you really not Terra your Colossal? But maybe... Okay, Colossal's not protecting either. Wow, this is just wild. Don't really know what's happening right now. But I get Rain Dance plus Aqua Jet, and that's a KO into Chi-Yu. Nice. I thought with this combo, like, you Lava Plume, and then maybe you Terra your Colossal as well, so you end up activating Steam Engine. But, yep, there's just Rock Slide. And I survive. Cool. It's Life Orb Cold. That's really interesting. I wonder if they were... Like, I was guessing they were just Choice Scarf Lava Plume there, you know? Huh, Dragonite comes out. So... Dragonite coming out is interesting because you would think they want to just extreme speed into this. Right? What I can do then is Terra Ghost here to get Tailwind up. I guess the question is whether or not I even really need Tailwind. I think conserving Terra Ghost for Chien Pao is also pretty good here. Tailwind helps against what they might have in the back. Okay, I think I'll just click Tailwind here and then just go for an Aqua Jet into Colossal. Alright, Colossal goes for the obvious Protect, but that's fine. E-Speed to KO Tornadus. Yep, that's okay with me. I think my main concern right now is I really don't want to bring out Chien Pao and just have them get a knockout onto the Samurott. So I think I'd rather bring out Flutter Mane right now. With Flutter Mane, you can't really hit it with extreme speed, and I have Ghost Terra Chien Pao waiting in the back as well. So we get the speed boost here. There's nothing on the Colossal slot that can actually switch into Aqua Jet. Chien Pao would probably be the biggest concern. Honestly, I think Samurott might even survive even with the defense drop. So here I think I'm going to Aqua Jet and Moonblast into the Colossal slot because I could see it switching out into Chien Pao, but they don't switch. Beautiful. Okay, I was not expecting Samurott to just sweep with Rain Dance Aqua Jet in this one, but, you know, it was kind of the perfect position for it in this match, so I'm really happy about it. So now we get Moonblast into the Dragonite slot as well. There's Multi-Scale. That's broken now. Special attack drop, not really relevant. Let's see what the last one is. Sneasler was the one I was most curious about. But it's just Chien Pao. Okay. So with Chien Pao out, 2 turns of rain, you can obviously just extreme speed into this, Ice Spinner into this. to which I can just go for a Fairy Terra. Yeah, or sorry, not Fairy Terra, Steel Terra. I think Steel Terra, Moonblast the KO Dragonite, and just Aqua Jet into Chien Pao here is fine. That guarantees the knockout onto the Dragonite. They can't Terra, obviously, because they used it on Chi-Yu. And then it should be a 2v1. The only way this doesn't work is if they go for a crazy Sacred Sword read onto Flutter. But I think unless you know this team, you're never going to do that play. If it does end up being Sacred Sword, things get very interesting. So there's E-Speed. That's going to finish off Samurott. But Samurott's done more than enough in this game, getting a one-hit KO on both Chi-Yu as well as Colossal. Oh, okay, they went for Sucker Punch instead of Ice Spinner, but we do have enough bulk to survive, so that was pretty spooky. But I think we should be good now with Focus Sash on my Chien Pao, because essentially my Flutter is always going to be faster than their Chien Pao, so if they want to attack, they're going to have to go for Sucker Punch onto Flutter, but if you Sucker Punch, I just Sacred Sword you, and I Sacred Sword you twice for the win. Chien Pao here should be sashed on their end, so no need to over-predict here. I think the one way we could lose this game is if I try to get fancy and like protect with my Chien Pao. So, Moonblast, Sacred Sword. With us having Sash, this is basically always a guaranteed win. Okay, they just protect with Chien Pao, that's fine. Moonblast into them. And Sacred Sword. Okay. Rain stops. Not super relevant at this point in the battle. We'll just go for the same play. They're just trying to bait out a protect, but like I said, I know I'm fine here because I have Focus Sash on Chien Pao. So, like, I could protect the Flutter there. I guess protecting is fine, since then they would Sacred Sword me and bring me down to Sash, but it doesn't really matter, honestly, because I always win by 1 HP anyway, knowing I have Sash here. So, the one way we could lose this is if I try to Sucker Punch, and then they Sucker Punch me. Like, Sacred Sword here always just wins because I have Focus Sash. So, yep, a Sacred Sword. And I think it can be a little bit nerve-wracking to, like, only win the game by 1 HP, but in this endgame, I knew that I would always get 2 attacks off. So there were a lot of different ways we could have played it. I guess I probably could have protected the Flutter, honestly. I don't think that would have changed much. But realistically, Chien Pao on their side should never win in that scenario. So, yeah. Only ends up being a 1 HP victory despite a really early lead, but that is the strength, of course, of a lot of priority from their end, even though we had a Samurott with Aqua Jet as well as a Flutter Mane with the speed booster, them having Sucker Punch on the Chien Pao as well as Extreme Speed from Dragonite. That's one of the reasons why that duel was so good, right? Just the amount of priority that you offer made it a little bit more difficult, but very happy about Samurott's performance in this one. I definitely was not expecting, like, turn 1, I thought it would be Colossal Terraing, and then I also didn't think, once I saw Chi-Yu Terraing, I was like, oh no, it's going to be a defensive Terra, but then it just ended up being Fire, so we got lucky there. But I'm going to guess their strategy is to just go for Scarf Lava Plume in order to activate Colossal Steam Engine, and then you've got the Life Orb Rock Slide. So that's probably what was coming our way, and honestly, it would have worked out pretty well against us, but Samurott was so clutch in just dealing with Chi-Yu and Cole, so I think Samurott honestly had a pretty good matchup into a lot of my opponent's team, but it ended up being better because they didn't lead, for example, Regieleki, which otherwise could throw out in both of my Pokemon for super effective damage. So yeah, I'm really happy to feature Samurott just spamming Aqua Jet in the rain to deal a lot of damage in this one. Okay, we have another opposing Tornadus Hyper Offense team. I see Iron Hands, which scares me a lot. I honestly think that's one of the most difficult Pokemon for this team to go up against because it hits pretty much everything for super effective. So dealing with that is going to be annoying. I honestly really like Kleavor here because I think getting the Stealth Rock up is a really big deal to break through multi-scale on Dragonite as well as Chien Pao's Focus Sash. I think speed boosting Flutter should probably be brought here. As much as I love Samurott, I think this is not the best matchup for it. They don't really have that many special attackers. Samurott's not really good into Water or Urshifu. Like, the trade isn't exactly super good. And I don't think Spikes is that important in this game either. So, as much as I'd love to bring it, I think we probably drop it. The question is, do I want to go Banded Dragonite or Chien Pao? Chien Pao, like, with Focus Sash is always just pretty consistent. I don't know. Dragonite, I feel like, can really pack a punch here, though. And if they bring out Chien Pao, I can take advantage of their defense drop. So, let's see. I wouldn't be surprised if they go Tornadus Urshifu lead. Against Tornadus Urshifu, I mean, I can just Tailwind Stone Axe. I could also Grass Terra Blast here. It's actually a pretty interesting decision. Or the third option is Grass Terra Stone Axe. The thing is, they probably have their own Dragonite with extreme speed in the back. If I Terra, means I can't Terra these two, which for now I think is fine. Terra Blast isn't a guaranteed KO onto Urshifu. If it were, I'd probably just go for it. Okay, I'm going to Grass Terra, Stone Axe, Tailwind. Like, I think Kleavor's just pretty good in this matchup. The fact that I have Kleavor as well as speed boosting Flutter means that if we match Tailwinds, I generally have a speed advantage. So I'm okay going for a Terra here. Just defensively to make sure Surging Strikes doesn't KO me on turn 1. Okay, so I get Tailwind up. Sure, we match Tailwinds, that's fine. It could be Scarf Urshifu on their end, so let's see. Okay, we attack first. Get Stone Axe. Nice. So that sets up Stealth Rock, which is so good against Chien Pao Dragonite in the back, should they have that. Okay, great. Surging Strikes into us. Perfect. Pretty ideal turn 1 then. We take less than half, which is perfect. Although it meant that I didn't necessarily need to go for a Terra there then. Still fine just to ensure it, because I don't know the item on Urshifu. Something like Mystic Water, Choice Band. Those can be scary. Yeah, Chien Pao comes out. Yeah, that's exactly why I wanted to set up the rocks here, right? So, you could, like, Aqua Jet Sucker Punch this slot now. I've got Dragonite and Flutter in the back. I think the debate here is whether or not we should consider switching this out. But I think the answer is no, right? Because I think here it's pretty safe to just Stone Axe and Bleak Windstorm. Oh, they don't go for any priority. Okay, Scarf Kleavor is just really wrecking things right now. I think my opponent probably didn't anticipate Choice Scarf there, so they may have just gone for Ice Spinner, but Bleak Windstorm here just gets the one-hit knockout as well. Nice. This is the strength of Choice Scarf Kleavor. I had featured the Rocky Helmet Kleavor previously, but with Scarf Stone Axe, you, I think, have a very favorable matchup into opposing Tailwind teams. So that's exactly why I wanted to prioritize it. Let's see if it's Dragonite as the last one. Yep, this is exact. Like, Kleavor's just so good here, right? Like, it can one-shot Tornadus. It can one-shot Chien Pao after multi-scale, or sorry, after Focus Sash is broken. It can one-shot Dragonite as well, so couldn't have asked for a better setup. Guess I'll just taunt you. And yeah, not much my opponent can do. So this game highlights the strength of Choice Scarf Kleavor. Definitely a very powerful set. I think the main stressful thing about using Scarf Kleavor is that when you click Stone Edge, you can just Stone Axe, you can miss. I said Stone Edge because obviously Stone Edge is one of the most stressful moves to click as well. But yeah, I really like it because there are so many Tailwind teams running around in the format right now. So being able to one-shot opposing Tornadus and set up that Stealth Rock to just break through Sashes and Dragonite's multi-scale, I think is so valuable. And Grass Terra works out perfectly for us defensively in this battle as well. So I think Samurott has been really cool today, right? But if you ask like, if I lead Samurott in this game, what does it really accomplish, right? It doesn't do that much damage into Urshifu. I do think, by the way, if you wanted to add another interesting move on Samurott, having Terra Blast is unique, because then I could go for Fairy Terra Blast onto Urshifu. I think if I would make an edit to this team, that's actually something to consider. But the question is, what move do you give up? Because all of the moves are pretty valuable. But point being, if I go Tornadus Samurott, I just end up having the slower Pokemon on the Samurott slot, and then they can leverage that to their advantage. Whereas in this game, because I had the Scarf Kleavor, I was just faster the entire time and applied so much pressure. So I thought my opponent needed to go for like Sucker Punch and Aqua Jet to try to KO the Kleavor. But the thing is, if you do that, then I just get a Bleak Wind Storm off, and then I have Choice Band Dragonite to come in and just start extreme speeding everything. And because I had set up that Stealth Rock, you don't really have an item on Dragonite or an ability on, an item on Chien Pao or an ability on Dragonite, which I can really use to my advantage. So I think that was the perfect game to highlight Choice Scarf Kleavor in particular in this format. Anyway, that's going to be it for this one. So thank you so much as always for joining me. If you enjoyed, I'd really appreciate it if you consider leaving a like on the video or subscribing to the channel. It really helps out a ton. And hopefully I have now showcased the power of both Samurott as well as the Choice Scarf Kleavor. It's a lot of fun to use these brand new Hisuan Pokemon, so I can't wait to continue and dive into more with all of you. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you all soon. All right, peace.